Goody 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 everyone, this is Dayhawk, bringing to you episode 61 of Shaman King 01. Hao has made it to the altar. Now he is waiting for Yoh. And speaking of Yoh, he makes it to the Pilars with Kareem and Silva. And just like what happened with Hao, these birds appear, one for each shaman. And the same goes, like, show me your souls. And the boys were like, we don't know what that means. And Yoh is like, I'm sorry, but we don't have time to deal with you. So they end up attacking the birds. And Hao had an easier time. He easily destroyed the birds and gained passage. In this case, they're getting beaten. And there's something that Yoh noticed, that the birds did not attack them at all. It did not attack Silva and Kareem while they were down. And he was realizing this, so he was trying to test them out to prove his theory correct. Meanwhile, Tao Jun is behind the pack. She is trying to find Ren and the others. And then, speaking of Ren, the rest of the Yoh Yohs are not too far behind Yoh. So right now, there's nothing between them and Yoh to Hao. So they're good to go. But, as you know, none of them know where the altar of the Great Spirit is. They're just running to whatever direction there is. And so back to Yoh, he discovered that the birds do not attack unless they attack them. So he kind of figured, well, I will talk to them, and tells the birds, hey, I'm here for Hao. I'm not doing anything that will cause any ill will or whatever it is. I'm just here because of Hao. Can you let me pass? And all the while, Silva and Kareem are just looking at him and just, what the hell is going on? And they seen Yoh just go past the pillars. So just by asking the birds, you can gain passage. And meanwhile, we get to see Hao and Hapacha just sitting there waiting, and then Yoh makes it and has a brief moment with Monta. And all the while, again, the rest of the Yoh Yohs makes it to the pillars. So I'm telling you, they're not far behind. It's just the problem is now is they have to deal with the Guardians in order to quickly, catch up with Yoh. And so Silva and Kareem make past their birds, so they already caught up with him, and now Yoh and Hao are gonna have this final showdown. But before that, Yoh asks Hao, why are you doing this? Why do you want a shaman world where humans no longer exist? And Hao never gave a legit answer, except that humanity is tainted, they're bad, they're evil, and they don't need to exist in his utopia. and you know, in this perfect utopia, I'll be ruling as king. And he gets all crazy eyes in this particular shot. And all the while, Hao grabs Karim and Silva, and the spirit of fire is crushing them. Luckily, Yoh slices its arms and saves them. So they're out of the picture. So all that's left is Hao. So he turns the spirit of fire to his own spirit of sword, and they have their sword fight. All the while, the Yoh Yohs are having a terrible time getting through the pillars. And then we go back to the fight, and unfortunately, Yoh is not doing so good. And here's the thing, I feel like Hao is toying with Yoh, because right here he would have just killed him if he wanted to. But no, he ends up letting him get back on his feet, and for the second time he gets beaten. And then back to the pillars. The boys are getting their asses whooped, and they figured, you know what, we need to get past them. Let's do it for Yoh. He needs us. So all of them go on the attack, and this beam of light appears, and that was it. They passed the test, and they managed to go past, the pillars. So I'm guessing, well, before I mention anything else about the pillars and how people can get through, Tao Jun is this episode, it's just, you think that they're far away, but you realize no, they're catching up. It's that they're not too far behind. And then you see Yoh, Silva, and Karim pass through the pillars, and then you have the Yoh Yohs not too far behind, and still have to deal with the Guardians. And then once they pass the Guardians, here comes Tao Jun. Oh man, if only they would have waited a few moments longer. But she has to deal with her own, bird. And all the while, poor Yoh is not doing so good. He's getting beaten left and right. And Yoh tells Hao that no matter how many times he gets beaten, I will stop you. And Hao is like, really? Are you still with this thought process, really? And so June, just like the others before her, were not doing so great, and she was about to get killed, but luckily Anna appears and destroys the bird. And here's another funny part. She says, "I'm sorry, but I'm going ahead," and she ends up going ahead of her. And guess what? Tao Jun thought that, Anna destroyed the bird, so I'm in the clear. I can go in after her. No, that's not the case. Another bird popped out of nowhere. So Anna destroyed the bird that was meant for Tao Jun, but now that Anna destroyed it for her and just went past her, and and she has to deal with the gauntlet again. And believe it or not, she just like, we're just gonna stay here. We're just gonna stay. Oh man. So Hao is literally beating up Yoh so many times, and you see in the scene that Hao is giving Yoh like a upper right kick on to the face, and before long, you know, he was knocked out cold. And the last thing Hao did to Yoh was he just punched through his body, and you see him just pull his soul out. And all the while he is pulling Yoh's soul out of his body, the Yoh Yohs, Silva and Kareem, Monta, everybody that just arrived at the altar, including Anna, were just in shock on what Hao was doing. He was sucking up Yoh's soul, all the while, again, the people just all stunned, like not knowing what to do. And you see Anna just in shock. And then the final scene is pretty much Yoh dead. And at the end, you get to hear Anna scream Yoh's name. And that's the end of this episode. Jesus. What a great episode, in my opinion. It was funny in terms of the groups were not far behind, and yet they end up falling behind because they had to deal with the Pillar Guardians, and it took them long enough to figure out that, you know, what the Guardians are meant to do is to like let people pass in terms of, okay, let me see your souls, what are your intentions. And with how he used brute force in order to get through, in order to pass, while Yoh and I assume Kareem and Silva did the same thing. They end up saying, hey, you know, we're here to stop Hao, can you let us pass? And by that, the Guardians saw their intentions, their good intentions, and let them pass. And then you had the Yoh Yohs, who were trying to fight the birds just like everybody else. But when they were thinking of Yoh, they were thinking of, okay, this obstacle is just, we need to get past this in order to catch up with him, because he needs us right now, and God only knows what Hao is doing to him. And because of that, the birds let them pass. And then to Anna, even though it was meant for Tao Jun, she just destroys the bird and just says, I'm sorry, I need to pass. And she ends up running past Tao Jun. And then Tao Jun thought that, hey, she defeated the bird, I am, in the clear. But then another bird just comes out of nowhere and just like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna stay and just wait. I feel bad for her. So Hao got what he wanted. He has Yoh's soul, who he thinks that it's a piece of himself. Because if you remember when they were born, Hao said that, hey, I will reclaim what is mine. Yoh is like my half of my power, my half of myself. He needs to be strong enough to match my power. That way, when he does, I can reclaim my better half, my half, and I'll become whole again. And he did. He got what he wanted. Now the next step is to deal with Anna and the rest of the boys, all the while trying to find a way to merge himself with the Great Spirit by force. So that's gonna be in the next episode. Now I don't know how they're gonna do it in the reboot. Obviously it's gonna be way different. If you've seen my reviews, if you've seen the last episode from last week, it turned into a gauntlet. So it's gonna be the Yoh Yohs versus every member of the patch, plus they have to deal with Hao if it isn't too late, and they have 15 hours to do so. And I mean, it's just, I already seen the show, at least this version of the show, and I like the ending, but I'm just a little bit iffy about the ending for the reboot. But we will see it together. And before I go, once both versions of the shows end, I'm gonna do like a mega video comparing and contrasting both versions and the characters and all that. It may be under an hour or something. I will do my best to do it justice, and let's see how it goes. Anyways, thank you all, and please give a like if you like it. Please subscribe. If you already seen the episode, did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if you dislike it, tell me how would you change it. And again, if I miss anything, please do also comment down below. And that's it. I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Jenny!